Hey there, community. This is Buu Lam. I'm one of your community evangelists on the DevCentral team, and welcome to today's DevCentral Connects. We've got a lot to discuss today. We've got some cool news articles to talk about. We've got our lovely co-host Aubrey King, who will be joining us in a second as well. But today we're going to talk about Intel Smartnex. We're going to talk about the most recent critical bug with some of the Atlassian products as well. Amazon acquiring a medical company and Apple CarPlay as well, and how that play fits into the future of automobiles. So should be some fun stuff to discuss today. But before we get into that, just a couple housekeeping items here. Wherever you're dialing in or you're tuning in from today, would love for you to drop in the comments where you are watching from. Whether that's country, city, a location in your home, location in the office, whatever that might be, would love to hear from you. Also wanted to mention as well, if you like this comment, you want to hit the subscribe button, which should be, if you're on YouTube, it should be down here or maybe over this way or something like that. And then on LinkedIn, if you're following us, that's great. If you happen to encounter this show and you're not already following the DevCentral page, please do so on there. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook as well. So please connect with us on there. And then another place to connect with us is actually on our community platform, which is community.f5.com. And the DevCentral Connects team, myself, Jason, Aubrey, Peter Silva, we all hang out in this group on there called the DevCentral Connects group. So all the logins and membership to community.f5.com is free. And then once you log into there, underneath the top navigation bar, there's a little groups subheading. And if you go under there, you'll find the DevCentral Connects group. Just click join on there. This is where we put all of the show information, including all the links that we talk about during the show. So if you visit it right now, there's actually a thread on there for today's show. It has the links that we'll be talking about today and any follow-up information. Like we'll actually be talking about managing Kubernetes with Nginx, and we'll have on Amir Rawdat to talk about that. And so that information and the follow-up information will be in that show thread. So please do check that out. Again, that's free to join in on that. A couple other things as well. We are going to be running another hands-on lab with the DevCentral Connects team. Previously, we ran that lab as a Capture the Flag or CTF event. That was a lot of fun for everybody to participate in. We're going to put up the next one up for a vote. So if you head over to the DevCentral Connects group, there is a thread on there to vote for the next lab. All you got to do, open up the thread. We've got 3 options on there, I believe. And there's a function on community.f5.com that allows you to add a kudos to a post. So I made 3 separate replies to that post, and then just hit kudos on the one that you want. You could vote twice. You could vote 3 times if you really wanted to, but that would dilute your vote there. But vote for the one that you like, and then that's the one that we'll put on over this next quarter. A couple other things before we move on here as well. Nginx Sprint is coming up. That is in just a few weeks. So you want to sign up for that. That's going to be held virtually, so you can attend from the comfort of your own home. And it was just recently announced, if you've been watching your Nginx emails, Kelsey Hightower is going to be a keynote speaker at the event. And everybody loves to listen to Kelsey talk. He's going to, I believe, give a little bit of a story of how he's encountered and used Nginx in the past. So should be great to attend just for that even. But there's a ton of info on there. We'll actually be covering some of that over DevCentral Connects, things that we're looking forward to, and then some follow-up stuff afterwards as well. So be sure to sign up for that. And one last thing, some of the DevCentral Connects team is hitting the road again, and we're going to be at Black Hat in Las Vegas, Black Hat 2022, and that is August 10th and 11th, I believe. It's a Wednesday and a Thursday that we'll be there. We'll be there shooting video, meeting with the community, checking out what's going on. So we look forward to seeing everybody there. So if you're going to Black Hat this year, be sure to look for the team there. All right, so I've gone through all of the little things that I wanted to talk about ahead of things so far. I'm going to bring on my co-host today, though, Mr. Aubrey King. Aubrey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Boo?
I'm doing good. It looks like you're doing great from where you are, though. Can you tell us where you're at?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in a place called Trout Lake, which is just outside of the Adirondack park in upstate New York. So this is kind of way north of the city, and in the Precambrian Shield rock, which is just absolutely gorgeous. Always great to get here.
Yeah, that looks amazing. I'm guessing you guys have gotten out on the water a lot.
A little bit, yeah. I went out fishing last night, which was nice. Caught, just some little guys, little pumpkin seeds and things of that nature. So
Oh, nice.
it's been good. Yeah, the water's really warm though. I don't even want to swim in it. It's like a hot tub.
Really? Oh, wow,
Yeah,
that's awesome. Oh,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. And did you cook up that fish?
I did not. I did not. No. I actually caught quite a bit of fish and had my fill of fish in Canada a couple weeks ago on my vacation. Actually, working from here is a different thing.
Yeah, you've got great internet and a good setup going there, so it's good to see.
The funny thing about it is, I'm almost embarrassed to say this. The speed here is faster than at my house. And it reminded me of when I was doing sales. I was working in upstate New York, and there was a potential customer we talked to, who was covering the Adirondack Mountains in fiber at the time. They felt like it would be good if they just put fiber optic through the mountains and made it a high-speed paradise. So it's very clearly choked where we're at too. I mean, I'm at like 255 down and it's flat topped. So
Wow.
I know there's a lot more speed that could be had out of this place.
Oh, wow. It's almost like a secret that you probably want to keep, that it's such a good place to work remotely from, and with the internet connectivity and setting that you have there. Otherwise, you're probably going to see a lot of people flocking to that area.
Oh yeah, you bet. I mean, I already opened a small data center here. No, I did not.
Oh, nice. Nice. Very cool, man. All right. So for today, we've got our feature segment, which is going to be all about Kubernetes. And recently there was a book released called, recently, as in 2 months ago, I believe, Managing Kubernetes Traffic Using Nginx. And this was written by Amir Rawdat. At the time, he was a technical marketing engineer with the Nginx team. He's actually since moved over to be a solutions engineer within the F5 org, but he covers Nginx specifically, modern applications, and just a wealth of information from, I think he spent 4 or 5 years doing that marketing engineer role. So he got to see the ins and outs, that more on the product side, translated that all into a book. It's like 120 pages long of managing traffic, goes over security, different design patterns, where you need to use ingress and whatnot, all verified and stuff. And it has a GitHub repository for being able to deploy some of the example code in it as well. So it was just an awesome conversation. And I was fortunate enough to actually spend a bunch of last week with Amir as I was over in Seattle. If folks are following my Twitter, which is at Buu Lam, you want to follow that. And I was posting from there as well. Actually, before I forget here, one thing I want to point out is my sweatshirt, which is the IT pirate ship sweatshirt from One Technology. The guys were kind enough to send one of these over to me. And recently I did do a video with those guys when I was in Denver with Matt and Jeff Benton from One Technology. Great guys. And it was really good to connect with them. And then I guess I got the sweatshirt out of it. I don't know. This is great though.
It's a nice
actually, before we move on, yeah, it is. It's a good sweatshirt. It's got on the back. It's got some IT pirate ship stuff as well. Sorry, I didn't go over where folks are watching from. So we've got Ahmed from Egypt. Hello, Ahmed. Daniel Wolf from Savannah, close to Frankfurt, Germany. Awesome. Always great to hear from you, Daniel. And we've got Parikh watching from Mumbai while attending an office meeting at home. Nice. We've got Leaf, friend of the show.
Who's that?
Sunny Seattle. Yes, it is. It's sunny up here in Vancouver as well. And right after this, I'm going to be taking off this sweatshirt. And we've got Peter from Los Angeles. Always sunny down there. Fantastic. Okay, very cool. Please do, if you are catching this just now, folks are entering in where they're watching from. So please do so. And then we will highlight that later on. And if you have any questions on anything F5, please drop that in as well. Anyways, in the meantime, let's go ahead and I'm just going to roll a little bit of a transition here, and then we will hop into our video. Be with you in just a moment.
In the great battle between good and evil, would you say you are against evil or for good? It's a subtle distinction, but an important one. Here at F5, we want to know what you are a force for. What are you passionate about? What moves you? Like for me, I'm a force for the environment. I'm a force for my family. And as it pertains to F5, I'm a force for engaging with you, our community. Join the cause and let us know what you are a force for.
Everyone, today I am joined by Amir Rawdat. Amir is actually a solutions engineer with F5, but he focuses on modern applications, and he's also the author of a book, Managing Kubernetes Traffic with F5 Nginx, a practical guide. This is a really comprehensive book, so I wanted to bring attention to this, get this in front of folks. There's a lot of great information on there, so we're going to chat about that today. Amir, thanks for joining me today. Can you give a little bit of background on yourself?
Sure. My name is Amir. I studied computer engineering in Ottawa and joined Nginx as a technical marketing engineer back in 2017 and been doing that ever since, and just recently made the move to solutions engineering for modern apps.
That's going to be a great role for you, getting this kind of information out in front of customers. And what you've put together in this book, I think, is probably going to be a majority of the conversations that you're going to have in your new role. So it probably helps you that you made this book, and then get
Sure,
to,
yeah, it's a good reference.
Yeah, you can go ahead and have meetings with folks, and then say, hey, and by the way, here's your follow-up material, my book.
Or while they're trying to figure out a solution, going through the book as a reference to fix that.
This book is, well, first question I'm going to ask you, this book is 124 pages long. How long did it take for you to write this book?
It was a lot of work. I give a lot of respect to authors now, and because I know what they have to go through. So it actually took me about like 3 to 4 months. A lot of the work is getting it approved by other subject matter experts and getting feedback, and a lot of the work went into editing as well. Making sure that the content is as recent as possible, so that when we release the book, we don't have to make changes to it as technology changes, over the months. So it took me about 3 to 4 months to write it, and then getting it approved at the same time by subject matter experts, getting their feedback, and then getting it edited. And of course, making sure that the GitHub repository that comes with the book, all the code and the GitHub repos are working fine, so that when readers actually go through the examples, it's working and everything's working fine. So making sure that everything is accurate, and making sure that the new product releases are aligned with the content from the book it was a challenge. And so a lot of it was coordination, and it took a team of 4 to 5 people to get it done. But at the end of the day, it was worth it. It really is a great book. Anybody that is practicing Kubernetes, I recommend they download the book.
Okay, so let's talk about that as an intro to the book itself. Maybe you can talk about what this book is going to cover and what type of person wants to read this book.
Sure. So the book consists of 4 chapters. The first chapter is about getting started with Nginx, how to install Nginx, Ingress Controller, and Service Mesh in a Kubernetes environment. And there are many methods to do so. And then the second chapter, it kind of talks about traffic management. So how do you actually route the traffic? How do you actually manage which traffic goes where, which traffic goes to which services, etc., to kind of maneuver your way around a dynamic microservices environment, especially when you're pushing changes, 5 to 10 times per day. The traffic management is going to really help you there. And then the third chapter, we get into monitoring and visibility, which is really, really important, obviously. So we get into how you can actually integrate Nginx systems, which are typically at the core of your Kubernetes environment, and how you can actually export that data to many third-party providers, including, AWS CloudWatch, the ELK stack, Prometheus, Grafana, so all that great stuff there. And then finally, the last chapter, which I think is a really very, very important chapter, we step into security. And so security, we cover identity and WAF. So how you can actually implement, single sign-on solutions, and how to integrate your single sign-on solutions with Okta, Ping Identity, and Azure AD, as well as how you can actually apply WAF policies at the ingress controller system to protect your apps from malicious attacks. So that's the last chapter. And so, given those chapters I was just talking about, it really covers a wide range of skill level for Kubernetes practitioners. Like you could be a beginner and start reading the book, and you'll learn a lot, right? And then for a more advanced user, maybe you can skip the first chapter and dig and jump in straight into chapter 2, chapter 3, and 4. So this book is really for any Kubernetes practitioner, obviously, like who actually deploys Kubernetes in their environment hands-on, and they want to actually get started with it. So that's the great news there. And on top of that, there's a GitHub repository.
All right, very cool. So there is another 5 minutes or so to that video, and it's 8:47 Pacific time right now. So 2 minutes ago, that entire video would have dropped on the DevCentral YouTube channel. Again, that's that's youtube.com/DevCentral. Go subscribe on there. You'll see the entirety of that video. Links to download the ebook. Links to connect with Amir, all that can be found on the show thread and within the video as well. So really great to chat with him. But it kind of opens your eyes too, Aubrey. I don't know if you've encountered this playing with Kubernetes, is there's so many aspects to it. You can get it out of the box, you can kind of slam it in there and it starts working. And then you're like, oh, what about all these things that I'm used to on my traditional enterprise network? Where is everything?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And it's, that's a book I'm going to have to pick up, actually. It's nice. It sounds like it's really for all skill levels. For me, probably a little more than beginner, but, for those little bits where there are things that I'm not used to, like you say, it'd be nice to have some troubleshooting tips and things like that. Just some other ideas to take a look at, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Great book. Encourage everybody to check out that book. Actually, the research team has thrown in the link to get to that book as well. So please do check that out in the live chat. Moving on from there, we've got some news things that we wanted to cover today. So let me bring that up. First of all, this one here. So Intel Smartnex. Now, this caught my eye because I recently had a little chat with Joel Moses, who is a friend of the show, friend of DevCentral, and former DevCentral MVP as well. If you want to check out Jason Rom's Twitter, he actually posted a group photo of the DevCentral MVPs from 2011, and you'll see one Joel Moses in the front row there, as well as a couple other F5ers that you might recognize from over the years as well. So go scroll through Jason's Twitter and you'll find that photo. But I had a great conversation with Joel Moses about XPUs, and Lori McVitie was on previously. We were talking about a book coming up that they're actually releasing, which is why I was having this conversation with Joel, it was on enterprise architecture for digital business. And we were talking about the infrastructure renaissance and how, we're butting up against, hold on, before anything here, I want to call this out. Chris Miller, everyone go check out, please do go check out Jason's photo that he posted on his Twitter, because you'll find a young Chris Miller on there. And Chris, I didn't realize that you were a DevCentral MVP before. Like I should have known, but Peter's got the tweet from Jason up on there. So to make that clickable, go check out the live chat that's happening right now. I will. I'll try to bring that up in a little bit. But yeah, it's awesome to see our MVP program over the years and how it's evolved, and the people that have come from that MVP program as well. Some of the some top F5 folks. Anyways, getting back to this, having this conversation with Joel and talking about how we're butting up against Moore's Law and the top end of Moore's Law, and the achieving more processing out of these XPUs. And so, Intel Smartnex is an example of that. And some of the challenges with this, though, this is highlighted here, is that as you're building this out, and one of the challenges that F5, as we're working with some of these vendors, is driver compatibility and the different operating systems and platforms that we have to enable these for. And then all of a sudden there's a OS change, and then you have to go recertify everything. There's new chipsets or something that comes out on these IPUs, and then you run into an issue. So what Joel and F5 and a couple of these other vendors like Intel has come along and done is that they've created a project called the Open Programmable Infrastructure Project, and that was recently announced at the Open Source Summit in Austin. I think Paul Pindell was down there. Maybe Joel Moses was down there as well. But we're taking a big role in this to be able to help out with and contribute to the enablement of these XPUs. And so this will be really cool. It puts a layer in between so that everybody can take advantage of these XPUs without having to develop drivers from the ground up and have them proprietary to anything. It moves the industry forward, which is really cool to see. And Aubrey, you've been a part of open source communities for a long time, and so this is probably not new to you. When there's a problem out there, the open source community jumps in and collaborates to solve it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true for communities in general. I mean, we see that a lot on DevCentral also, but this particular community is rather interesting. My last service provider customer, when I was working in the service provider team, was a big part of that push for open programmable interfaces. And really, they're looking to do a lot more with things like F5, because they envision a time in which their packet cores will take a packet inbound and be able to make a simple API call out to something else, gain a response back, and understand from a technology like F5 how a white box switch or an Intel processing unit would go about processing that packet as a result of the API call. So it's really fascinating to see all the different vendors and service providers and customers in that community specifically. I'm happy to see Paul Pindell on it too. I had a conversation with him about that as well. It's exciting to see us in there.
Yeah, that'll be really cool. We've got Joel Moses lined up to actually have a chat with Jason Rom, and they'll talk about this project in a lot more detail as well. So that should be one to look out for in the next month or two or so, is when they'll work on that one.
Yeah, and I think that project is getting fairly mature now. I think it's more like 5 or 6 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So we should see some great results out of that one soon.
Nice. That's awesome. The next article here, moving along, we've got this one here. Do you want to talk through this one, Aubrey?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, really, this bug in Atlassian, it's the questions for Confluence for their server and data center products that had an exposed security threat that came up recently. And what this one boils down to really is, I guess, the trouble with those corner case sort of user accounts that, and I've had this as even before I joined F5 as a customer. I had a couple of pieces of software that ended up having exploits like this that were found, where there was a single use or, like I said, a corner case kind of account on the box with a hard set password. So unfortunately, this hard set password in questions for Confluence was gained and then was also it looks like released. So from what I can see, there has been guidance from Atlassian on how to fix this exploit. You can do a number of things in terms of the user account's group memberships or deactivating this account. But an upgrade is also going to fix this as well. And of course, they're also letting their customers know that migrating to the new cloud version of questions for Confluence will also mitigate this vulnerability. Now, for me, this is a tough one for Atlassian. I mean, this comes on the heels of another critical vulnerability that came out in June that was fairly widely exploited. And this one also had a couple of other CVEs that came out roughly at the same time that were also about the data center and server products. So I think for me, what I got out of this is, reading the article, is that migration to the cloud is not always a bad thing. It's one of those things that we see sometimes with our distributed cloud customers at F5 today, which is you have your exploits fixed for you. And that is kind of a nice thing. And of course, the irony of this one, reading the article, is that the user account is a user account that was used specifically for migration to the cloud. So, it's you got to get there, but the road can be difficult, I guess.
A little bumpy. Yeah. It's an interesting one in that, with what Atlassian does for organizations. And we've talked about this a few weeks back on GitHub and how they're beefing up their security and forcing people down the 2FA path. These are the places, and when it comes to open source and the integration of those packages into products that we see everywhere, whether it's commercial or whether it's open source as well. And so people are going across the chain to be able to do these exploits, potentially jumping into something like Atlassian products there to get into the code and be able to find what they need to find. And 0 days can be found perhaps a lot easier when you know what the bugs are, if they've been recorded already somewhere, and you just have access to that. Then it's a free-for-all. So yeah, hopefully everybody gets patching. Okay, so we've actually got 2 more articles that I had listed here. We are running up on time. So what we'll do is we will encourage everybody to head over to community.f5.com. Myself and Aubrey, maybe we'll commit to putting on our takes for the next 2 articles here into the replies of that thread. First article is Amazon acquiring One Medical. And for me, this strikes, where is your information? Amazon knows so much about me already. Like, it's suggesting all these products that I know I'm probably going to buy eventually. Somehow it figures that out. And so now them getting on the healthcare train, it makes me wonder how much information they're going to have about everybody out there. And, I get the good side of it. They're going to recommend products that are going to help you out in a healthcare scenario, but there's downsides to that as well, so we can talk more about that.
For me, that makes me think I'm gonna cough, and my Alexa is gonna say, Aubrey, you might have an issue with XYZ.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. That knows. I have an Alexa listening. I have a Google listening. It's probably going to go off right now. I have Siri listening. Like, all of these things are going to start recommending stuff to me. Speaking of Apple, the other article, Apple's new car software could be a Trojan horse into the automotive industry. This is kind of just recapping the recent WWDC announcements around CarPlay and where things are headed with that. Been lots of rumors around Apple getting into the automotive industry and being the centerpiece of the software. I think it's a miss on the traditional car manufacturers to not get into that in a big way. Apple and Google have already gotten into that. I think they've got that market fairly cornered, not completely cornered, but fairly cornered. And then, once you own that platform, just like how Apple owns App Store and controls the distribution of software and who gets to put out their software and what you charge for it, and then Apple taking a cut the entire time. If you want to enable subscription services through a car, and Apple is the platform that you're going to have to go through, and then there's going to be the Apple tax to come along the way. So anyways, I'll write out my take in the thread. Alrighty. So great show today. Thanks everybody for the comments. Again, please do hit like and subscribe if you want to see more of this. Also, the recording for that discussion with Amir Rawdat, it can be found on the DevCentral channel. You'll also want to check out Nginx Sprint. Make sure that you're signed up for that. We're going to have Kelsey Hightower there, and look out for myself, Aubrey, and Peter at Black Hat coming up. We really look forward to seeing people in person from there. Aubrey, I bid you adieu. You're going to have a great, you are working while you're there since you have power and great internet, but I know afterwards you'll be able to relax while you're out there. So hope you have a great time.
Thank you. In the meantime, I'll just be working on the the quarterly security notification stuff, which should be coming up also, just to remind our listeners and viewers. That's coming up on August 3rd. So keep an eye out.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes. Great work behind the scenes by yourself and team to get ready for that. So please do, everyone, look out for that. Alrighty, folks. We will see you all next week. Bye now.
The F5 DevCentral YouTube channel is your personal lens into F5's community. Check out our Lightboard lessons, technical how-to videos, real attack stories, 90 seconds of security, and join us live every week, Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific for the DevCentral Connects show. Try it. You'll like it.